Today we're shooting 35mm on a Minolta X700. You'll be surprised at how much switching gears between different media realms can actually not only improve that specific media realm like film photography, but also how skills learned from film photography can actually translate over into cinematography. And to kind of up the ante, today we're shooting on black and white, so I'm really focusing on looking for high contrast scenes, something I traditionally don't do when shooting video. Okay, so in one of my last videos, we talked about film photography, or photography specifically in that video, and how some of the things we can take away from photography are actually advantageous for us to kind of pull some of the skills, some of the expertise, some of the things we learned from basic photography and transfer them over into filmmaking or videography and actually come out with some better products. So as discussed in that video, the main thing, or the main takeaway that I'm trying to do from film photography, is to really kind of slow down, really get some nicely composed images, and really just kind of get comfortable slowing down the whole process of not just taking a good image on a film camera, but also on a video camera as well. So some of the major drawbacks that I'm finding out when it comes to shooting on film is obviously ordering the film and processing or developing the film in time enough for me to continue to put out content specifically here on this platform, YouTube, can be just a little slower than typically just going out, filming a video, editing the video at home, and then possibly or potentially uploading that video within 4 to 5, maybe 6 hours. Now I have to actually develop film in order to be able to showcase it in the video specifically that I'm talking about doing film photography on, and also as well trying to marry the whole filmmaking side of this channel as well, and trying to kind of just find a connection between, you know, how the filmmaking can connect to film photography. And so really, if you guys have any suggestions as how to, you know, combine the two disciplines in order to kind of marry them together into one, let me know in the comments, man. Let me know how I'm doing thus far in this process, because filmmaking is still my passion, and I really just kind of want to drive home the fact that I'm taking on film photography as more or less a tool to improve my main passion. Give me a grade, man. Give me a grade. From A, give me a B minus, give me an F. But in all seriousness, guys, the Minolta X700 just really feels like a premium camera. It really feels like the company took the time out to put out a quality camera back in 1979, mind you. And if we were just to compare the Minolta X700 to something like the Yashica FX3, which I talked about in another video as well, it just feels like they were cutting costs on the camera overall. Compared to the X700, if you are looking at purchasing this camera is dope, man. It feels really good. It feels solid. Out of the 2 or 3 that I've owned so far, all of them shoot throughout every single one of the shutter speeds. And so I think that's just a testament to the craftsmanship that was put into the initial modeling or the initial manufacturing of these cameras, because like shooting on the FX3, just the 2 that I've had, a lot of the shutter speeds wouldn't work. For example, if I shot it at 1/500 for this shot and then switched over to 1/1000 for some of the next shots, you can see like the shutter was a little laggy, but they really just kind of show and present themselves when it comes to these issues, especially when you're talking about cameras that are 40, 45, 50 years old. Cool little angle. I'm probably gonna actually switch over from F11 to F16.
I play golf now, so I'm a white poodle. So to sing songs out, but crybaby better. Unnecessary shit.
Which one are you going
I do throw.
So some of these shots I took at the track, like this one specifically, where I caught the dirt bike in the air as it was coming up over the hill. There's just a couple things like I had to think about, obviously, before I took the shot, which was I at a fast enough shutter speed to stop the motion or stop the rider in the air so that he was perfectly clear, for one, which is pretty easy to do in the daytime. Let's see if we can get the air shot. You know what I'm talking about. Oh yeah, can't get no more high contrast than that. Actually, you know what I'll do is I'll focus in on something else. f6.3, 1/1000. Okay, get ready. Oh, got it. Got it. The fact that you have to wait for the shot is pretty satisfying, I must admit. So this shot specifically was at 1/1000, which is the max shutter speed that the Minolta X700 shoots at. And the second thing I really wanted to make sure was he in focus? And so a lot of things I found out that I had to do when shooting on manual glass, which I typically shoot manual on, like right now I'm on the GH4, I'm in manual, but when you're looking through a split diopter viewfinder, a couple things change. I do kind of find myself referencing other points that are going to be generally the same distance between myself and the subject. And so in this shot, what I did was I focused on that stake that was right there on the left-hand side. And so that's how I knew that when the rider came up over the hill that he was pretty much going to be in focus. Obviously, shooting at f16 comes to your advantage because pretty much the entire frame is in focus anyway. But even shooting at f16, you still have to make sure that the subject that you want to capture in the image is going to be in focus because not everything is critically focused. This shot here is at f11, 1/500, waiting for a clear shot. So anyways, guys, I had a blast shooting at the track for that day. I learned a whole lot when it comes to film photography. I do believe that was like my second official time shooting on a film camera as a photographer or as a videographer. As you guys know, I've shot like old film cameras or point and shoots back in the day when I was like a kid. Obviously, I'm in a little different of a headspace now that I'm 41. This is not like the late 80s, early 90s where I'm shooting on my dad's point and shoot. And so yeah, I'm just basically taking in what I'm learning and trying to apply it to everything I'm doing on the filmmaking side, if that makes sense. So let me know if you guys have any questions, comments down below. I did do another shoot recently at a comedy show where I did take a point and shoot camera that I bought for $5 on eBay, the EOS 750. And I'll put that up here so y'all can check that out. Other than that, guys, hit me up on Instagram as well and let me know what you think about some of my current projects when it comes to my filmmaking music video side. And I'll see you guys in one of my next videos. Peace. So that is an advantage. Obviously, like, you know, it's cool to have that depth. f.095 gigawatts of aperture is always nice. Sometimes it's more important to get the shot clear than it is to get a blurry background. This shot here is a f4, 1/500.